So you just click that donate button, but what happens next? Where does your money actually go? Well, there's one single document that pulls back the curtain on all of it, and we're going to decode it right now, the Form 990. I mean, we all support causes we believe in, right? But that nagging question is always there. Is my money really making a difference? It turns out there's a tool, a really powerful one designed to give you those exact answers. And today, we're going to break it all down. Okay, so here's our game plan. First up, we'll get the basics down. What even is a Form 990, and who has to file one? Then we get to the good stuff. We're going to follow the money, see where it comes from, and just as important, where it's going. After that, we'll look at the people, the pay, and the power structures, and I'll even give you some pro tips for reading between the lines. By the end, you'll see why this one form is so important. All right, let's dive right in. The transparency tool. So what on earth is this Form 990? It's super easy to just dismiss it as, another boring piece of government paperwork. But trust me, it is so much more than that. Okay, so the official IRS term is an annual information return. Now pay close attention to that phrasing. It's not a tax return. This isn't a bill. The whole point isn't for the nonprofit to pay the government. Nope, it's for them to provide information, to be transparent, specifically to us, the public. I like to think of it like this. It's basically a nonprofit's annual checkup. And the Form 990? That's the report the doctor hands you at the end. It's the organization stepping on the scale, checking its vitals, and then showing you the results. Is it healthy? Is it actually doing what it says it's doing? All the clues. They're right here in this form. Okay, but here's something that might surprise you. Not every single nonprofit or a tax-exempt group has to file one of these. So let's figure out who's on the hook for this and who gets a pass. So most of the charities you probably think of, your local food bank, museums, animal shelters, yeah, they're generally required to file. But, and this is a big but, there are some major exceptions. Churches and a lot of religious groups, for instance, are often exempt. Same goes for most government units. And then there are the little guys, organizations bringing in less than $50,000 a year. They usually get a pass on filing the full, detailed form. All right, now we're getting to the real heart of it, following the money. This is where the Form 990 truly shines, because it's built to tell a financial story. It's all about connecting the dots between an organization's mission and its wallet. And you know what? That entire story, every single number, it all hinges on one critical thing, the mission. You'll find it written out plain as day right there in Part 3. Think of this as the organization's North Star. Every dollar that comes in, every dollar that goes out, it should all point back to this statement. So let's start with the in column. Where's the money coming from? You might be surprised to learn it's not always just from people clicking donate. If you look at Part 8, that's the statement of revenue, you get the whole picture. Yeah, you've got your contributions and grants, for sure, but you'll also see things like program service revenue, membership dues, and sometimes even investment income. Now, I want to pause for a second on that program service revenue line, because it can be a really big piece of the puzzle. This isn't just random business income. It's money the organization earns by doing its mission. So for a museum, that's ticket sales. For a university, it's tuition. See? It's income directly tied to their purpose. Okay, so we saw where the money comes from. Now for the big question. Where does it go? Part IX lays it all out, and it's usually broken into 3 big buckets. First, you've got program services. That's the good stuff, the mission in action. Then you have management and general, keeping the lights on. And finally, fundraising, spending money to make money. Now, ideally, you want to see that program services slice be the biggest, right? But the balance here tells a story. And be careful not to jump to conclusions. A super high fundraising number could be a red flag, or it could be a brand new charity making a critical investment to grow. Context here is absolutely everything. But of course, an organization isn't just a spreadsheet of numbers. It's run by actual people. So this next part lets us peek behind the curtain at the leadership, what they're paid, and the rules they're supposed to be following. Part 7, this is where things can get juicy. It's the compensation table for the top brass, the officers, directors, key employees. And it's not just their salary. We're talking bonuses, benefits, the whole package. The reason this is public is so that we can all ask a really important question. Does this pay seem reasonable for the job they're doing and the size of this charity? Then you've got Part 6, which is basically a governance checklist. It's a whole series of yes or no questions from the IRS. Stuff like, do you have a conflict of interest policy? Or do you have a whistleblower policy? It's a super quick way to see if the organization has good housekeeping practices in place. Think of it as a way to spot potential problems before they become big, messy problems.
Okay, you've got the basics down. Now let's get into some pro tips. This is the stuff that will help you read this thing like a total insider.
If you take away one thing from this section, let it be this. Do not skip Schedule O. Seriously, on the form, it just looks like a big empty box for notes. But this is where the real story lives. The IRS makes organizations use this space to explain things. So if a number looks weird or you want to know why they answered no to having a certain policy, the answer, the context, it's almost always waiting for you right there in Schedule O. And remember this. This is a quote pulled word for word from the IRS instructions. It says that all information, the form, the schedules, everything, will be available for public inspection. This isn't some top secret file you have to fight to see. It's public. You have an absolute right to look at it. So how do you actually do it? It's honestly pretty simple. Step 1, you need the charity's exact name, or even better, their EIN, that's their employer identification number. Then, just go online and search for the IRS Tax-Exempt Organization search tool. Pop in the name or number, and boom, you can download their recent 990s right there. Okay, let's zoom out and bring this all home. We've dug into the details, the parts and pieces, but why does this form actually matter? Why should you, me, or anyone else really care about it? It all comes down to this. The Form 990 is the bedrock of public trust. It's the main tool we have to check that these organizations, which get special tax-exempt status, are actually doing what they promised to do, that they're operating ethically. Without this little window into their world, the public's faith in the entire nonprofit sector would just crumble. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you're about to donate to a charity you love, take 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, to look up their latest report card. Because every single Form 990 tells a story. And now that you know how to read it, what story is your favorite charity's 990 going to tell?